Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to create an API using AWS AppSync GraphQL with IAM Authentication and use it in a website with AWS Amplify. The important thing is I'm not going to use the AWS CLI to create the configurations, and if you feel like that you don't need the CLI for your application, this will be a good start. And also in this example, I will show you how to use the AWS Cognito roles to grant permissions to execute AWS GraphQL API. As the first step, create an GraphQL API using AppSync. In this example, I will be using existing AppSync schema which consists of posts. To create DynamoDB resources, I will be using create resource function so that it will be easier here. After that, remove existing queries for the posts. As you can see here, all the default subscriptions, mutations and queries have been created. The next step will be to create a user pool for the AWS Cognito users. To create it, you can enter the details as in the video. In this tutorial, I won't be explaining what is meant by these configurations, and perhaps in the next one, I will explain it. After creating the pool, you will be able to see that the pool ID is created. Then create the app client with a proper name and make sure you untick the generate client secret option. After that, you will have to create the federated identity for this created user pool. Type proper names and you can add IAM roles for those federated identities. Then you will have to add the user pool ID and app client ID as the authentication provider for the created federated identity. Verify whether those fields are added. As per this tutorial, we will be using AWS IAM to authenticate AppSync. So we will have to attach the AppSync policies to the Cognito roles. Although I use default policies, make sure that you use proper policies for apps in production environment. Make sure you add those roles for unauthenticated Cognito roles, as we will be using it in this example. I will be creating a React app using create React app CLI. I will be configuring AWS Amplify in the index.js file and use GraphQL in app.js file. And then install AWS Amplify node module. Copy the configurations that you need to authenticate the AWS AppSync and AWS Cognito. Add the user pool ID, region identity pool ID, and app client ID for authentication. Next, add AppSync GraphQL endpoint URL and region. And make sure that you add AWS IAM as the authentication type. After that, we can create some entries in DynamoDB using Queries tab in AWS AppSync. For this tutorial, we will be listing all the posts. To test that, you can code it in the AppSync Queries tab. We can use AWS Amplify API.GraphQL function to query the data for our application. This will behave like the Apple client if you have any previous experience with it. See the structure of the data that we get from AWS. We can log it in the console. After fetching those data, you will be able to see it in the app view. If you need any information regarding the configurations, check out my blog in the description. If you need any other tutorials regarding AWS GraphQL or any other, feel free to add the comment and don't forget to subscribe for next videos. Thanks for listening and enjoy coding.